So we're back with part 3 of lesson 9. So we can add items to our cart, but now we want to build out the cart method and view. So when we add to cart, we can actually see a page. We can use scaffolding to generate this, and then we'll customize it. So we now want to, well, they're going to get navigated to the cart view. So we need to build this method, and then we're going to build the view. Amara, that's exactly what we're going to do now. Get /shop/cart. So we want to identify the user and the session var. And then we want to load the cart items for this user from the DB for display. So we're going to read our session variable into a local string variable, and then we can use this to get the current cart items. So we use a where method. So we don't want everybody's cart items. We only want this person's cart items. Then we're going to return a view and pass the cart items. So we can use scaffolding to generate an initial cart page, and then we'll need to make a bunch of customizations. Okay, but the method's pretty simple. Whoops, and I guess this should be to list. We want to convert the cart items to a list, so we can use our IEnumerable interface, so we can loop through to generate the cart items. Actually, you know what? I think instead of scaffolding it, if we could scaffold it, but it's going to give us a lot of stuff we don't want. So I think we'll actually create an empty view and we'll just write the code ourselves. Might be less confusing than moving stuff around, changing all the pieces. I think we'll just create this as an empty view. So we only need 3 lines of code here. I think we'll have to tweak it a little bit, but we'll start with this. I'm going to add a view. We'll just pick an empty view called cart. So Mara, there's our view, empty view called cart. So in here, we're going to declare model that's IEnumerable, and our type. We are displaying a list of cart items on this page. Put a title in the browser tab that says your cart. And we can create an HTML table. We'll create a header row. So our columns will be product, we'll put in a blank column to display the image. Quantity and price. And one more blank heading. So there's our header row. So a couple blank headings, we'll see why. We'll add our table body. And then our for each loop to display all the items in the cart, it'll go in here. For each item in our model. We're going to create a new row. So our first column, we want to show the product name first. Our second column will show the product image if we have one. If we don't have one, we'll show the placeholder. Actually, you know what? We'll just start. Let's just try it out like this first. So we've got our header. First, we'll just try to show the product names. We'll see how the cart actually works. I think we're going to have to make a change in order to get this to work, but we'll try it out. Here's everything so far. I'll just throw it all in the chat. So if I go to cart right now, product names aren't showing up. That's a problem. Right? I do have products in my cart, but they're not here. Well, let's try and display at least maybe the quantity and price. We'll come back to the image. In this case, we'll have quantity first. So our first column is the product name. Second column, we'll put the image in a bit. Third column is quantity. Fourth column is price. Okay, so we're not actually getting any data. Interesting. Let's try and shop. Put something in my cart. Okay. So it crashes here, trying to display my product name. There's a reason for this. It's crashing right here. Right? Item.product name, this object doesn't exist. Reference not set to an instance of an object. There's a good reason for this. Our model, keep in mind, is cart items. But we're not trying to show the cart item here. We're trying to show the product name. So we need to modify our query a little bit. When we select the cart items, yeah, we also need to do a join. That's right, Attila. We need to join this to the parent object, right? Our cart item model it's got a parent of product. So by default, our query, when we query the cart items DB set, it doesn't include those parent objects. So what we're going to do here is add we want to add the parent object in the query. Now, Visual Studio doesn't like this very much, doesn't recognize include. So I've added this line. We need to add a reference here. So it says DB set doesn't contain a definition for include. If we reference Microsoft.Entity Framework Core, this should fix our error and allow us to join to the parent object. So I'll accept that reference. So this does a join for us. Not only does it grab the cart items, but it also grabs the information about the product. We need that so we can show both the product name and the product image in our shopping cart. Yeah, I think it's cool. So now if we go back, try again. Now it shows all the items in my cart that are attached to my customer profile. It shows the quantity. We probably want to format the price with our string.format method. And then we can also add the product images. Here, we're going to wrap this item.price in our string.format method. That should give us currency. So I keep wiping out my session so we keep losing what's there. So now I get it formatted as currency. Mango and avocado. We also want the product thumbnail showing up here too. So we can write our little if statement in our second set of TDs. If there's a photo, show the photo as a thumbnail. If not, show the placeholder. So similar logic, we've now used it in a couple of places. So for our item, product, photo. If it's not null, so we'll show the photo if we've got one. And again, we'll scale it to thumbnail size. If our photo is null, we'll render this exact same thing, but we'll just display the placeholder instead. So I can even copy that, and I'll just change the source. Instead of showing product photo, we'll just show the placeholder. Go and try this again in a minute. So this is the inside of the second column. Check for the photo. If we've got one, show it. If we don't, show the placeholder. So all the cart items will at least have some image showing up. Again, add an avocado, add a mango, add a soursop. So it's starting to kind of look like our proper shopping cart a little bit. Compare it here. Here's my cart. Okay, so we see the product, quantity, name, price, pretty similar. We've got a total as well. We've got the ability to remove something. Let's maybe add our remove from cart as well. And I think we'll call it a day. We'll do some more with this next week, but we should also be able to remove an item. So over here in our last column, we'll add a link, our controller, shop, our action. I'm so bad with this syntax. Is remove from cart. We can pass in, right. Okay, thanks, Julia. We can pass in the primary key, so we can just use root ID. Right, Chisato, we can add ID, it'll pass the primary key, which will be our at item dot cart item ID. I'm gonna have to shrink this, my font a little bit. So we can fit this all on. So our link will say remove. So now beside every item in the cart, there will be the option to remove. We'll write this method. It's only going to be a few lines of code. So now when I add something, I get a link to remove. And it will pass in the cart item ID. So we get this error because we don't have a remove from cart method. Yep, we can add the total as well. If you wanted to, that's fine, Attila, that's good. We will want to add the overall total and then checkout links, keep shopping, but we'll kind of do that next week. So I want to implement the remove from cart feature. And then if anybody wants to stick around, I will go over, yes, the photo issue. So we want to create remove from cart that has a parameter called ID. We will remove that item from the cart items table and just refresh, reload. We'll redirect back, refresh the page. So we'll write one more method for today. Well, there's only so much I can reasonably do. That may have to be an office hours appointment. Okay, I'm gonna ask you to pause. I'm gonna pause on any more debugging because there's still some stuff I want to do with today's lesson. If you need individual help, then maybe you could send me an email, share your code on GitHub, or book an office hours appointment. Okay, I'm trying to help debug as much as I can, but the number of students in the class, several dozen students, I can't debug everybody's in one lesson. I'm sorry. It's not possible. Okay. I'm just going to focus on one thing at a time. So we want to take this ID, we want to remove it from the cart, refresh. Oops, sorry. First, we're going to find the item. Then we're going to use the dbSetRemoved method. And then we just commit the changes by calling save changes. So when we do this, it should delete from the database. And then we're just going to redirect back to the cart method. So this will refresh the cart page, and that item should be gone. The other thing we should probably add, let's see if this works, is we should add some kind of little JavaScript confirmation. So when the user clicks the remove button, rather than just remove it right away, we'll give them a little pop-up, are you sure? Sometimes people click or tap on the wrong thing, especially on mobile devices. I'm going to shop, put a couple, got items in my cart here. So now if I want to remove the strawberries, I didn't save my changes and build. Yep, we could validate that it is their cart. That's a good idea. So I'll show up again. Put a few things in. And now I'm going to remove. And that item is gone. I'm going to add a little JavaScript confirmation that when we click remove, rather than it just calling remove automatically, we want it to invoke a small JavaScript function. So in the cart page, in our link, we'll add on-click event handler. We'll call a function that we're going to write called confirm delete. Yeah, we can look at the whole migrating cart. So what happens? I mean, in truth, it is a feature. It's not a bug. If you shop anonymously and then you log in, that your items are still attached to the GUID, that's actually fine. It's not going to prevent you from checking out. It doesn't really matter if those items are tied to your email address or not, because you can still check out. The only thing it means is that the items won't persist if you don't check out and you close the browser session. But as far as I'm concerned, like that's not really a bug. That's a feature. I'm okay with that functionality. Yeah, that's right. That's fine. They're still there because your session is active. If you close the browser, items are gone. If you don't purchase those items within that browser session, so the items are gone, that's fine. So we're going to add this click handler, and then we need to go to our custom JavaScript file, which will be under www.root.js. We have a site.js. This is an empty JavaScript file Visual Studio gave us. Write your JavaScript code. Okay. Create a simple function called confirm delete that will return the JavaScript confirm method, which is, are you sure? So confirm, it opens a modal dialog window with this message, and it will return a Boolean. It'll give us an OK and a cancel button. OK will return true. Cancel will return false. So we want to pop up that little modal box if somebody tries to remove something from their cart. So I'll put something in. Now when I click remove, if I click cancel, it's fine. Click OK, say yes. Yeah, Minjinder, if you want, you can do it that way. I'm not sure that it really matters from a business point of view. The other way you can do it is simply you could add a date field to the cart items table. And if you wanted to tell the difference, you could just look where, for example, the date isn't today. That'd be another way of managing it. I mean, nothing wrong with that. I think I don't know that I'm going to implement that functionality in my version. If you wanted to attempt to do that, by all means, you're free to make whatever changes you like. It's not a bad idea. Probably a bit out of scope for me. If you want to do it, knock yourself out. Okay, so now we can add to cart, we can remove from cart. I'll push my code. If you have multiple items in your cart, it should only be deleting. Like, let me put 2 items in. I'll put in oysters, put in 3, I'll put in prawns, put in sushi. If I remove the prawns, my other 2 items should still be here. Yeah, again, if we've got time next week for changing quantity, we can. For now, you still have that functionality. You know, if I don't want 1, I can remove it. And if I want 2 instead, I can just add 2. You know, trying to be mindful of time. Obviously, you know, we could work on the shopping cart for forever. We're just sort of trying to get the main functionality. So nothing wrong with those suggestions. Okay, but there, you know, in the interest of time, I'm going to have to limit some of the functionality. You guys have great suggestions. I'm not going to have time to implement all of them. You certainly can. If it's deleting whether you hit OK or cancel, you are probably missing the return in the on click. You're probably calling confirm delete, but the return, it evaluates whether the user clicked OK or cancel. If you don't have return here, it'll pop up the window, but then the link is going to run anyway. So no, I don't think it's a haunted JS. You're probably missing the keyword return here in the on-click handler. Without the return, it's going to delete every time. So I did want to allow, there is one piece of functionality in the admin side of things I wanted to fix up that Yulia mentioned earlier, which is, I'll just log in here, my admin account. If I go ahead and edit a product, let's say I want to change the price. If I edit a product, so I'm going to put avocados on sale, I don't need to change the photo. If I save, it actually wipes out my photo. It nulls it out. So we need to add a little bit of code to the HTML, a little bit of logic in the editing so that it doesn't wipe out an existing photo if a photo is not replaced. So I'm going to go ahead and go to my product edit view. And I'm going to add a hidden field here. I'm going to add an input type equals hidden. My name, I'll call it current photo. And my value will be the model.photo. So I'm going to add this into the form. And then we can add some logic in the edit post method to say if no photo is uploaded, we want to set the photo property equal to the current photo instead. This way it won't overwrite a photo we've already got here. So we're just going to embed this in the form, but the user doesn't see it. We're just using it behind the hood. No, Scott, you don't need the semicolon, actually. You could take it out. Old habit. Been writing JavaScript for far too long. You can take it out. We need to know the original photo name, because if the user wants to change the price, we don't want, the way the code works right now, is it will null out any photo that was here. I go to edit. I raise the price. I'm not replacing the photo. I'm just changing the price. When I save, it's now lost my photo. So in our form, we need to include the original photo name, because we need to evaluate this in our edit post method. So now we need to modify the code in the products controller so it does not replace the photo when we're editing. So under controllers, products controller, I'm going to click on my edit from my little drop down here. I could scroll through, but I can actually see all the method defined here. Visual Studio does this nicely. I want this version, the edit method with 3 parameters, the ID, the product, and the iForm file. I'm going to click on that. Jumps me down here to line 129. Here's the post edit method. So I'm going to add a new parameter here at the end, which is a string. String called current photo. So now we can evaluate the existing photo, and we can keep it if the user is not replacing it. Because right now it's getting wiped out, it's getting nulled out if I go and just change the price. So we're going to add this as a string parameter to the edit post method. And then we can use this parameter. So in here we're saying if the photo is not null, right, upload our photo and set the photo. Now we need an else. So in this case, we're going to use that current photo so that it doesn't, our photo property doesn't get nulled out. So I'm going to add this else statement if there is no upload. This should prevent that nulling out. So I'm going to put some of these product photos back, and then I'm going to edit the prices again. We should see that our photos now, they persist. Try it out. So I'm going to go and edit my avocado. First, I want to put my photo back. Okay, so that works. But now I want to change my price. So this was the problem. Before, when I changed the price and left the photo alone, the photo disappeared. I'm going to raise the price back to $1.99. I'm going to keep this photo. So now when I save, I'm no longer wiping it out. So now I can put my other photos back as well. Put my croissant back. And now again, if I just want to change the price of my croissant, I'm going to keep the photo. I don't have to re-upload it every time. We're now using that current photo, that little logic, put a bunch of these back. Why not? Okay, so Yulia, thank you for mentioning that problem. I'd forgotten it existed. Put all my images back, but now our photos don't get deleted anytime we edit a product, which I think was the problem we had before. That would be annoying to have to re-upload the same images over and over again or have them disappear. Okay, so we have come to the end. Did you have a quiz mostly around using sessions.net? You'll want to make sure you update your store. So you've got the add to cart, view cart, remove cart functionality. And assignment 3, your user authentication in assignment 2, that will be due next Monday, 5 o'clock. Okay. I will push everything we've done up to get today. So next week, we're going to continue on with our cart. We're going to add, some things here to keep shopping, to check out, to show the total. We're going to build the checkout process, and we're going to integrate an online payment gateway. I'm actually just going to give you a link for that because you'll need to sign up for this. And if you could do this before next week's class, that'd be great. I'll put the link in the chat. You can find it in the week 10 folder. We're going to use the Stripe payment gateway next week. You can register for a free account. They have a sandbox, so we can actually send credit card payments with some fake credit card numbers and integrate that right into our checkout process. Okay, so go ahead and create your free Stripe account, and then we will integrate this into our grocery store next week. Okay, if you want to do things like update cart, you can do that kind of stuff. I'll post everything to Git. If you need help, I've got some office hours Thursday morning, so please book an appointment. I could also maybe meet you tomorrow afternoon. Okay, have an awesome week. I know it was a long class, but we did a lot of stuff. Go take a break.
Professor, just a quick question. Since you're doing like